Welcome to episode 66 of the David and Hillary Show. This one's going to be a little bit different again, but it is going to be a full-length episode. We're glad you're here for it. And
I'm glad I'm here for it.
and we're excited. We're excited to do this. All right, let's do this.
Well, here we go. We did tease this last week. We did not have a full-length episode for 2 weeks. 1 week we had no episode.
Zero episodes.
Last week we had a very short one. But yeah, 2 weeks ago today, actually, I had a massive heart attack.
Yes, you did. I remember. Yeah. Let me think. Was I there? Oh, yeah. I was there. I was there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we teased that we would tell all about it. And I mean, I hope you find it interesting. It was a crazy thing to live through, but I think it had some pretty interesting parts, and we're going to try to tell it in an interesting way. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. It all really started about 6 months ago. I started having some pain, some discomfort in my chest, and now, looking back, well, of course you should have gone straight to the doctor. Well, it was relatively minor, and I couldn't tell for sure what it was. We had both just been sick before that.
I remember when this first started happening, and we were doing things that were strenuous. We were hiking.
Yep.
And I mean, spoiler alert, we're both getting older. So
Right.
hiking is something that has been getting a little harder for both of us. But
We
you're
were
right.
actually in the Smokies.
Yeah.
And the time that it really stood out, like, oh, this is really like something, I don't know what's going on here, but we should pay attention to this, is we were trying to go to the lookout in the center of the Smoky Mountains, which is the highest point in the park.
Right.
So compared to places in the Rockies, it's not that high, but it's high enough that you can have, you can have some altitude feelings in your body. And so I was just like, yeah, this isn't normal for me, but I don't know what it is. And I just don't think I can make this hike.
And my first question, is this your heart? And you're like, no. You're like,
It felt more like my lungs.
yeah, you kept telling me,
time.
I think it's my breathing. I think it's my lungs. And then we remembered, and we had both been sick. We both had like a respiratory.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, that tracks. That makes sense. You're just taking a little longer getting over it. So in our mind, we're like, okay, he said it's not as hard. It feels like breathing. So I think at that point we were like, yeah, this is just something respiratory.
And we're not the people that run to the doctor at the drop of a hat.
Right.
We're kind of more like,
That'll be fine.
it'll go away.
It'll go.
And we'll save the cost of the doctor visit.
Yeah. We do go to the doctor, but
We do, but we don't go a lot.
Yeah.
And we've been relatively healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been married almost 34 years, and we haven't gone very much other than for pregnancy not issues, but like
yep.
regular pregnancy stuff. That's the most. Either
Yeah.
one of us has gone, and we're grateful that we've been mostly healthy.
Occasionally we need an antibiotic. We're like, let's go to the clinic. We'll get something and
Yeah.
we go home. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the extent of our medical history.
It's just never been a big deal.
2 weeks ago, before 2 weeks ago,
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
Are you talking about when we went to the general practitioner?
No, I'm just saying before the heart attack. Before 2 weeks ago, we were literally on 0 medications.
Right. We were
Zero.
we were taking supplements for
Vitamins.
joints and to try to stave off the effects of cold and flu and stuff
Right.
like that. Just over the counter stuff that we had taken by choice.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
no pills from the doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's changed.
Well, speaking of where I thought you were going was 3 weeks ago, a week before this happened. I did go to the doctor
Yes.
because I could tell that it was getting worse and it was really affecting how much I could get accomplished in a day. And so we went to the doctor, and ironically, everything at the doctor's office looked pretty good.
Better than I thought you would do. Like, I think
At
he
one
kept
point, I
coming
think-
back with these blood tests. Is like, looks great. I'm like, really?
Yeah, at one point, I think, pretty sure you said he doesn't eat well enough to have those numbers.
Yeah, I know. So,
Yeah, but he kind of made a big deal about how normal my EKG was.
Right.
But I think part of it was he kind of thought that maybe you had nagged me into coming into the doctor.
Most wives do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was actually the one that said, this is not going away on its own and I need to feel better. So let's go. So he did recommend, let's do one more test. And he sent us across town to another place that had a different machine where they could do what I believe is called a CT scan, which is supposed to show in your heart where there's calcium or plaque buildup in your arteries.
Yeah. That was the test I was most interested in. I wanted all the other ones too, your cholesterol, your blood sugar, all the other stuff they did. But this was the one I thought, okay, if it's not your lungs, if it's your heart, this is going to be the smoking gun, right? This is going to tell us what we're doing.
And we thought we were going to get the results back in 2 to 3 days, but they didn't come.
Yeah.
This all happened on a Monday. And by Thursday, we didn't heard anything. We called our general practitioner and they said, well, we'll reach out and see, we haven't gotten anything yet. Well, Monday, by end of the day, had been an entire week. We called again to the doctor and they said, well, we still haven't gotten anything. We'll find out what's happening.
And I think actually what happened was maybe that they had gotten them late Friday, but again, there was another weird thing happened where they were having trouble like accessing, it was like a computer thing.
Right.
There were so many weird things that were...
I'd forgotten that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line was we went Monday morning to the doctor, and a week and a half a day later, by the end of business on that following Monday, they still didn't have the results of this test that they were supposed to have.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well,
all right.
So interestingly enough, let me just jump ahead and say we don't blame the doctor and we don't blame the place that did the testing. We're not sure what all that was about. But after the heart attack, you spoke to the general practitioner and he said that when he did get a chance to look at the CT scan, there was nothing on there that looked like a smoking gun.
I have to verify that with him. That was the morning of ICU. I had been awake all night long, pulling an all-nighter in the ER. And it was hard to hear what he was saying. And but I felt like what he was trying to say was that even if we'd seen those tests, kind of like how your EKGs kept coming back normal.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything in there that would have been like, run to the hospital. Like,
right. I'm pretty sure that he said something like that.
I do too.
And
we've
heard of a couple other people that have had similar things. So it's crazy.
The whole thing has been crazy.
It's been crazy. Well, so what actually happened then after that? So went to bed Monday night. I got up around 2 a.m. because I'm old and I had to use the bathroom. I felt okay, but on the way back from the bathroom, I started not feeling okay. I started having the chest pains. Well, what the modus operandi for the chest pains has been is if I'm doing something strenuous, which walking back from the bathroom doesn't count, then I would start to feel a problem in my chest. And if I would regulate my breathing, like 4 counts in, 8 counts out, if I would sit down or kneel down or even just stand still, I could regulate it. And within 20 to 30 seconds, usually it would start feeling better. Worst case scenario, after 2 minutes, I was fine and I could resume normal activity. So here I am in the middle of the night, sitting on the side of my bed, because laying down made it feel worse. And I couldn't regulate it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get it to calm down. I definitely couldn't get it to go away. And I sat there, I don't know for how many minutes, and just kind of thought, is this going to go away or not? What is happening? And when it didn't go away and it didn't go away, I'm not sure how much time passed, but finally I woke you up.
I was just thinking, I don't know. Yeah, because I was sleeping. But yeah, I wonder how long you were there trying to decide. Because by the time you woke me up, there's a little bit of panic in your voice. A little bit.
Well,
smidge.
You were exhausted, so you didn't wake up very easily. Mm-hmm. And now here I am having this chest pain episode, but also trying not to be a jerk. And I'm trying to figure out how to wake you up.
Yeah, I'm a good sleeper.
You weren't waking up very fast, so that was part of my. It was like, no, you need to wake up.
Yeah,
come on, wake up. And and I explained to you what was happening, and then I felt bad because I could tell you were not fully awake, but trying to be awake and trying to figure out what to do, and you didn't know what to do, and we were both just kind of like, I don't really know what to do. And I had some aspirin beside my bed because I had done a little research, and if whatever's going on is my heart, then taking aspirin could help.
Right.
And I had taken it maybe 3 or 4 times in the month or so before that, not very much. And it seemed to help a little. So I had taken aspirin and chewed it up, and it wasn't helping. It wasn't doing anything. And so the next thing that happened was I started sweating profusely, which I knew was a sign of a heart attack. If you have chest pains and you start sweating like crazy, I mean, just sweats just started pouring out of my head and upper body.
Well, we need to back up though, because when you woke me up, I immediately thought, okay, this is different. This has never happened where you just out of a dead sleep, right? Usually
Right.
you would have had been like we said, doing something strenuous,
Yeah.
like trying to work or walk or hike or whatever. So immediately I was concerned that this was just coming out of nowhere.
Right.
And I think I was sitting by you, and then I got up. I instinctively just started getting out of my jammies, putting clothes on, because I thought, we're probably going to the ER. And I would like to be dressed. But I asked you, I was like, what do you want to do? And you're like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I did notice the time. I don't know why. I think I just was taught as a preschool teacher, like anytime anything would happen, like on the playground or in the classroom, you had to document everything.
Right.
And so somewhere in my background is like, just start documenting. What's the time? All of it.
Yeah.
And so I noticed the time. It was 2:19, and I'm getting some regular clothes on, and I'm like, what do you want to do? I don't know. And then as I was walking around the bed, I just said really loudly, I was like, Lord, please just tell us what to do. And that's when you started sweating. Right after that, I think
Yeah.
he was like, "This is your sign.
Here's
If
your
if you were
sign."
waiting for a sign, you're
Yeah.
going to the ER."
Come on, dummies. Make the call. So yeah. So I said, I'm sweating and I can't stop. You better call 911.
Yep.
So you did, and then I thought, while I still can, I'm gonna go out in the living room, so I'll be ready for them.
Yeah.
So we have a storm door. I left the storm door closed, but I opened up the main door and sat down in one of our chairs, just right there by the front door. And you called, and I knew you had called, and it seemed like it took a while for them to get there. I'm sure when you're trying to deal with pain and trying not to panic,
And thinking, I could die. I mean, like at some point in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this, if it's serious enough, we're calling the ambulance. This could be bad.
well, I was going to save this tidbit for later, but I really never panicked. When I say I was trying not to panic, in the beginning, I did feel just, like the stress of trying to decide what to do.
Right.
I don't want to call them out here and then end up with an ambulance bill for nothing and have them send me home and tell me not to eat pizza before bed again or what, which wasn't
Which
what
happens.
it does.
Yeah.
That's not what we had for dinner, but
No.
just that type of thing. I was probably overthinking it. But once they got there, I felt in pain and I felt some apprehension, but for the most part, I felt at peace after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just, hard to describe. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but
Yeah.
I mostly felt at peace. So I was glad when they got there.
It always surprises me. We've seen EMTs work at like football games and different scenarios. We've had to call them for one of our children before.
Yep.
We've called them for you before.
Yep.
And they're so like calm, almost to the point of making me angry because I want them to rush or hurry or act like this is a big deal. But And that's exactly how they came in. They came in very calm.
Yep.
I can't decide if I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess when I want them to hurry, it's a bad thing. But probably they're just being careful and doing their job well.
Right.
And I'm sure if you had fallen on the floor, they probably would have picked up the pace a little bit. But
Well, when they got there, I was just glad because I felt like, okay, now we have medical professionals.
yes,
Yeah, they may
Yeah.
not be cardiologists or whatever, but these guys know what to do in emergency, and this feels like an emergency. And so I felt like, okay, this is good. They took my blood pressure right away. They pulled up my T-shirt and hooked me up with all the stuff for an EKG. Took the EKG again. Didn't seem panicked or anything, but they said, "All right, well, we're gonna take you to the hospital." They had me walk outside. We have a few steps down from our front door, and they had brought the gurney up to the bottom of the steps, and I climbed on there, and they put me in the ambulance. And at some point, I asked the main guy. I wanted to use his name, but now I'm questioning whether or not I remember his name. But he was very calm and professional and a little bit lighthearted in an appropriate way. And he was really good. And at some point I asked him, "Am I having a heart attack?" And he said, "Well, I can't say that you're having a heart attack, but the results of your EKG do give me some questions that I think we should go and have a cardiologist answer," or something like that.
right.
He said, "Let's go to the hospital and have the next level up come in and decide what's going on."
So do you feel like that was code for you're having a heart attack, or code for I can't tell you, but you're actually not having a heart attack? What do you think that he was trying to say?
I wondered even at the time,
Yeah.
because even though I was in pain, I feel like I was pretty level-headed, at least at that point. And I just wasn't sure. I wondered that.
Yeah.
Is he a good liar? And he feels like that's what he has to do in this situation so that I don't panic.
Right.
Or does he not really know for sure what's going on, but he feels like it's enough that he needs to get a second opinion? I don't know. But we got into the ambulance and I just said, "Man, my chest just hurts really bad. It hurts really bad. Is there anything you can do?" Because I just assume that's part of their job. If I'm in a lot of pain, they're going to try to take that down a notch.
Right.
And he gave me a nitroglycerin pill, told me to put it under my tongue. I had heard of that. I know that's connected with heart issues. So clearly there's something going on with my heart. That didn't touch the pain at all. And so he's constantly doing my blood pressure. He's taking other readings. They put 2 IV ports in, one in each arm. And I wasn't sure what all I was hooked up to, but they're watching monitors. And there's a guy driving, and you were up front with him.
Yeah. I did not feel safe to drive and follow you.
Right.
That would not end well. There would be another ambulance on the way, I'm sure, if that was the case. And so
Hopefully not, but I understand you were a little freaked out.
I was a little freaked out. And I think at the same time I would say I did feel that same kind of like peacefulness, as far as if I really stopped to think about it, I just kept thinking, this is going to be okay. This is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you and I both know what that feels like. We also know what it feels like to be like, this is not going to end well. And so, but I think we both separately found out that we both felt like this will be okay.
Yeah.
But I asked them, can I ride with him? And they said, well, you can't ride in the back with him, but you can ride up in the front and you can stay with him. It's like, okay, that's what I would like to do. So I was just trying to quickly grab everything I could think of that you would want, that I would want. And I didn't want to slow down the process at all. So I just got into the front seat and just sat there. And then I sat there I felt like, again, a long time, like, whoops. I was like, chop, chop, let's go. I think we're having a heart attack here. But like you said, they were giving you medication. They were still monitoring you, trying to get everything set.
Yeah. One guy up front with you eventually, and
Yep.
2 guys in the back. And
Yeah.
they were kind of conferring with each other. And one was mostly giving orders. I think the other one was calling the hospital to let them know we're coming to be prepared for us. And
Yeah. They did not, they rode with the lights,
part of the time,
and they told me, he wanted me to know, to be okay with that. He's like, don't be upset, but we're gonna go with the lights on just to get there as quickly as we can. I'm not gonna use the siren unless I absolutely have to.
okay. So
Yeah.
I couldn't see the lights, but I guess it was the siren.
Yeah.
I heard the siren once or twice, but not
Yeah.
the whole time.
Intersections.
Yeah.
It was, what, almost 3 a.m. Not quite. It was two. We woke up. You woke up before me. I was up about 2:19. I think we were on the road by like 2:45,
Well,
something like that.
fortunately, it's only about 12 minutes to the hospital.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad. But one of the things I wanted to cover was I was in a lot of pain, and nothing they did was really touching the pain. And so I don't remember the exact order, but I do know that between our house and the hospital, he gave me 2 nitroglycerin pills and 2 doses of fentanyl, which I did not expect.
We don't regularly take fentanyl
We do
in
not.
this house.
And so when we got to the hospital, I think his name was James or Jesse. I can't remember. And I said, I've never taken fentanyl. I've never wanted to, but I always assumed that if I did, I would actually feel something. And I don't feel any different than before you guys got to my house.
Yeah.
So that was kind of crazy. What was it that he told you when we got to the hospital and we were rolling through the halls on our way to the emergency room?
I think that he could tell I was really starting to struggle a bit. Like again, I wasn't going on very much sleep. To be startled awake like that, and then all of a sudden you're, racing through town in the dark. I think the severity of it really started setting in, and he could tell. I think I was fighting back tears. I kind of want to fight back tears now.
Everything's good.
But he just told me, he said, listen, I'll make you a deal. He says, you don't start to worry until I start to worry. And I'm not worried.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was really nice because I didn't think that he was lying to me.
Right.
I truly thought, with all of the experience, knowing what you were doing, what the machines were saying, I think he really felt like he was not worried at that particular moment.
Yeah.
So
I heard him say that.
that was nice.
Yeah.
So
Well, they got me into the ER and got me off of the machines from again, there's certain things I remember pretty vividly and certain things that are kind of blurry. So I think they had blood pressure cuff on me and all that. And anyway, when I rolled into ER, that they kept the 2 ports in, but then they switched everything over. So then I was hooked up to all the ER machines.
yeah,
The blood pressure cuff was on my arm for 2 or 3 hours throughout this whole experience. And every so often it would go off. And I did not like it because I never liked the blood pressure cuff. It always makes me feel a little claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it pinches and it kind of hurts. And, I always like to think I'm a landscaper. I'd get bumps and bruises and all the things. And I've been working outside and things don't faze me that much, but I just never liked getting my blood pressure taken. What the worst part was the blood pressure cuff right here was right next to the IV port that they had put in the ambulance, and every time this stupid thing inflated, it would like bump the
yeah.
the port.
Yucky.
When all that was done, I had the biggest bruise here.
Yeah.
They say when they give you blood thinners, you bruise easily anyway, but I was really glad when I finally got the blood pressure cuff off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, so I get in the ER and they tell me, well, the cardiologist will be here soon. And so here's another thing that I remember. This young female nurse tells me that she has to shave me to prepare for wow, I just lost it. I forgot that there was a name of something that I had to remember. So they put stents in, but there was a procedure that they did before that and then used anyway. They go into your veins and explore and see what's going on. And I can't believe that I just lost that whole.
I'm so sorry because I don't think I knew that name. Did I know it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I lost it. But so they said the doctor usually goes in through your wrist now, but we don't know which one. And the old way of doing it is to go in through your groin. And sometimes when they try to go in through your wrist, if it doesn't, they may have to then go through the groin. And so we have to shave everything to prepare for that. And I'm like, okay, do whatever you got to do.
And I'm in the room. I'm hearing all this too.
Yeah. And so she shaves both my wrists and she's kind of apologizing. I'm sorry, we have to do this. And it just felt to me like, I don't think she's done this very many times.
Yeah.
And then she says, okay, now I need to shave your groin. And I'm laying there. I think my shirt is off by then. But I have shorts on. It's kind of just how I was sleeping at home is how I'm in the emergency room. And I'm like, okay, well, I have an IV in here, a blood pressure cuff on. I have EKG stickers all over my chest. And the other thing they do whenever someone comes in with a cardiac event, instead of the paddles that shock you just in case they're going to need to shock you at some point, they have stickers now, big rectangular stickers. And they had stickers on me to prepare me for being shocked. And all these things are connected to something.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of a big guy, so I'm laying there, full body weight. I've had 2 nitroglycerin pills, 2 doses of fentanyl, and I don't know what they gave me in the ER. Even though I was still in pain, looking back, I think I was a little groggy.
Yeah.
And I start kind of trying to figure out how I'm supposed to take my shorts off, and I finally decide there's no way.
Yeah.
And so I just look at the nurse and I said, what do you need from me? And then this other nurse who wasn't old, but was a little older and I'm sure more experienced.
More seasoned. Yeah.
Comes over and she grabs my waistband and she had those shorts off so fast. She's kind of grunting this really disgusted grunt as she rips them off. And it was in that moment that I realized that having a cardiac event in the ER is kind of like having a baby.
Yeah.
And before all the women get upset that nothing is as bad as having a baby, I just wanted to make this comparison. I've been in the room with you 4 times when you've given birth.
Yep.
I was there when my oldest son was born before that. Our daughter had a home birth and I wasn't in the room, but I was in the house and I've heard her talk about it. And here's what I've heard otherwise modest women say when it comes down to like, okay, this is business. We're really going to have a baby.
It's time to have this
You've
kid.
been in labor and now we're going to have a baby.
Yeah.
I have heard you all say, I didn't care who was in that room and I didn't care what they saw.
That's
Just
right.
get this baby out of me.
That's right.
And so when the other nurse came over,
Oh, you're the janitor? That's fine. Get in here. Let's help.
so when the other nurse came over and grabbed my shorts and very unceremoniously disrobed me, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there were 6 or 7 female nurses in the room at that time. I could not have cared less. I was just thinking, just fix my heart, man.
Yeah.
Whatever you got to do, just fix my heart.
I will say, being on the other side of this, being in my mostly right mind and not having a baby, having you be on the table, all these women yanking your shorts off, and, there you are for the whole world to see. I just kept thinking, this is very surreal. These are women that we could possibly see at the grocery store. But I know what you're saying. Like, you don't care.
I don't remember any of their faces.
And you know what? They don't care either.
No.
And
It's
they're
their
not,
job.
It's their job. It's what they do all the time.
I do think the nurse with the razor was was kind of new.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if that's like low person on the
Initiation.
totem pole has to shave people for both wrists and the groin.
Yeah. She's
Have
on her
fun.
own podcast right now. Well, the other day, 2 weeks ago, I
Yeah,
had to.
I just
yeah.
got back from talking to my therapist about this. Yeah, so then she says, "I'm really sorry, but I have to do this, and it's gonna really itch when it grows
Yeah.
back. I'm sorry." And I was like, "Whatever you got to do,
Again, don't care.
don't care."
Yeah.
So the cardiologist comes in, super nice guy, super professional, super calm, which is great. I really wasn't freaking out, but it was nice to have someone in the room. Well, and the nurses were all very professional too, but
And
this
can I just say too that I mean really the whole morning to this point had been very calm,
yeah,
quiet, even with everybody working quickly. It was middle of the night. It's 3 o'clock, and the ER is kind of quiet. The
Yeah.
whole place was just kind of quiet, calm. Everybody was nice, but just it was. I don't even want to say the word peaceful, but it was kind of quiet and peaceful, and everybody
felt-
was working
I felt peaceful.
quickly, but peacefully. And
Yeah.
so, and then when the cardiologist walked in, he had the same manner, very gentle, very kind, very calming, very professional.
Yeah,
The whole thing to this point really had been quite calm.
yeah,
Yeah. Just to set the mood.
yep. Well, I don't remember a lot about what he said. He introduced himself and he seemed nice and he was talking. He talked a little to me, but then he was talking to the nurses and they were kind of just filling him in on what had happened up to that point, what the EMTs had told them, what had been done, probably what medicines they'd given me or whatever. And then I'm sitting. I mean, I'm on the gurney with my legs straight out, but I'm sitting kind of up, like at somewhat of an angle, but I'm sitting up. And they had asked me like 1,000 times, "How do you feel? What are you feeling? Describe how you're feeling." And I'm like, "How I'm feeling isn't changing that much. I'm just in a lot of pain." And they would say, "Where? Where?" I'm like, "Right here. Like if I hold my hand right here, everywhere where my hand is, it hurts." And I was a little frustrated because I didn't know how to better tell them how I felt.
Right.
But I noticed as the doctor's talking to the nurses, I'm just looking down at my legs, which are everything's covered at this point. They'd put a gown on me and I think a blanket. And I'm looking down just to the right of my legs and I started feeling nauseous. And then I noticed like the bed, really the room, but like I'm looking at the bed, like the bed started to spin. And I opened my mouth to explain that. And the doctor quickly turns and he goes, "Hey, bud." And I just see his hand flying at me like 100 miles an hour. And then I blacked out.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm in the room.
Yeah,
I'm
you
standing.
tell it from your perspective.
I'm standing behind the cardiologist. He's been talking to us, super calm, super nice. What I didn't realize until later is that when that was happening for you, everybody in the room stopped and looked at the machines. Nobody panicked, but they all looked at the machines. And then this very kind, very tall,
Yep.
large man,
Athletic.
yes, he just says out of character in a very loud voice, "Hey, buddy." And he took his hand, I think it was his left hand,
Yep.
and it was like a cartoon. It was like he wound up to go, God, bam, right on your chest. And again, I've had very little sleep till this point. Everyone's been nice. I've actually never been so close to another human physically assaulting another human. And it was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And you instinctively kind of went up into fetal position. You pulled up your arms, pulled up your legs, rolled over on your right side and yelled, "Geez, what did you do that for?" And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure there was a good reason. But yeah, that was the most startling of the entire episode.
Yeah.
Was the doctor yelling, "Hey, buddy," and and just slamming down on your chest. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
So here's what we pieced together after the fact. She said, he said, "Hey, buddy." I said, he said, "Hey, bud." And what we pieced together is that's when I blacked out. I blacked out
Yeah.
between bud and D. I never heard the second syllable. And then I felt like I was out for about 2 seconds, and then I was there and everything was weird. I don't even remember curling up. I don't remember what I said. But that was when my heart went into VFib. And I hope I say this right. I tried to look it up, tried to remember what the doctor said. I also looked it up after the fact. But VFib is when your heart quits doing anything productive. The way he described it was your heart goes from pumping blood to just kind of shimmering around, vibrating, and not doing anything productive. And when I read about it, they said, yeah, the patient blacks out when that happens. And so what we also learned, I told you earlier, all the things I was hooked up to, and I talked about those rectangular stickers that are for shocking. Apparently, when someone comes in with a cardiac event, there's one person, a nurse or whomever, it's their job to stand by that machine and just be ready to press that button. And like Hillary said, everyone in the room except us realized something changed on the machines. They all looked at the machines. The doctor knew that was his cue to do something. And so he hit my sternum to try and get my heart started. And apparently, as soon as he did that and was clear, the nurse hit the button, bam, and shocked me. I was unconscious, so I didn't realize that's what happened, but it brought me right back.
Yeah.
And
we're so competitive that as we were trying to retell the story to our
the
friends and
next-
family,
well, later that morning
Yeah.
after I was in ICU.
I kept saying, and then the doctor said, "Hey, buddy." You're like, "No, he said, hey, bud." I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure you said, hey, buddy."
Yeah.
And then we kept kind of fighting back and forth, like, no, he said, "Hey, but no, he said, hey, buddy." So finally the doctor came in. It's like, "Oh, just by the way, because we got to settle a score here. Did you say, hey, bud, or hey, buddy?" He's like, "No, I would have said, hey, buddy." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, and that's when we realized.
That's when I blacked out.
I think, and by blacked out, I think you meant, did you mean die? Are you just trying not to
Well,
say that?
No one actually used that term.
Yeah.
I don't know if. Well, we could jump ahead to this part. Our daughter looked it up later
Yeah. Yeah.
to say, and looked up, if you go into VFib at home, what are your chances of survival? Now, I'm just telling you what she told us. I didn't look this part up. But according to her, your chances of surviving an event like that, if you're not around medical professionals, is between 7 and 10%.
Yeah.
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 So,
Not
that's,
good.
That's pretty sobering when you
Yeah.
think, well,
Yeah.
I got up to use the bathroom and then had pains that wouldn't go away, and finally broke down and had you call 911. And so glad that we did, because I think you said that you looked at the clock and thought that happened at about 3:19.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of amazing that.
So about an hour after we were trying to decide whether to get other people involved in our little
Yeah.
midnight
Yeah.
pain session. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of a funny way to say it. We're like, what do we do? And then probably if we had tried to tough it out, it would have been a very different ending.
The two times that I really, really paid attention to the clock was when you woke me up and I just noticed, oh, it's 2:19. And then in the hospital when that happened, I knew later. I started documenting everything in the hospital or the ambulance ride, because I
Yeah.
thought, well, when he's healthy and feels good, he's going to ask me all these questions. I'm going to have no answer because I'm just going to say, I don't know. It was sometime Tuesday. I just thought, no, he's going to want to know these things. So I started kind of texting you, just making notes. I still had both phones, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to make notes. And so I was just texting you information. And and I believe it was 3:19, an hour after we were at home. And I can't even believe that it was only an hour that we made the decision, called the ambulance, got you to the hospital, everybody's hooked up, the cardiologist is there, and then you have your heart attack.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, there's a couple more, I think, somewhat interesting things that happened. And then, we don't want this episode to go super duper long. So
Do you want to save some for next time?
let's get through the main part of it, because I don't know who else wants to hear this for episode after episode after episode.
Hey,
But
maybe we do. Maybe we just want to, go back and look at it again.
well, I didn't when I blacked out and they brought me back, I don't remember the part where I said, "What'd you do that for?" But I think there was kind of a lingering, like I had been frustrated or had said something, and I felt bad for questioning the doctor because I've always, trusted doctors, and I've had pretty good experience with doctors. And so I do remember saying something like, I mean, whatever you got to do, you know what you're doing, right? And he said, yeah, I've been through this many times. I know what I'm doing. And I said, okay, give me a fist bump. I think it caught him off guard, but he did. He gave me a fist bump. And I said, all right, we got this. And then there was some more talking. I don't remember exactly what happened right after that, but in a minute or so, he said, I think maybe to everybody in the room, but also to me as the patient.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to go get prepared for the procedure. Is there anything else you need from me? And in that moment, it just struck me. Again, I think there were several people. I knew there were voices behind me. I knew there were other people in the room, medical professionals. But the two that really stood out was the 6-foot+ athletic build doctor and the nurse directly on the other side, who was pretty petite and female. And I'm sure she was super qualified, but the drastic difference in size just kind of stood out to me. And so when he said, is there anything else that you need from me? I said, well, does she know how to smack me in the chest like you did if this happens again? And he said, yes, she does. And I said, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
And so he left.
You were being pretty funny.
Well, that's how I deal with stress.
Yeah.
And I was trying not to be too stressed. I did feel mostly peaceful, but yeah.
I did love what you told me before you left the room too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you were being lighthearted, but we both knew that this is serious,
Yeah.
and hopefully I can tell this without tearing up. But as they were getting ready to take you out of the room, you told me, you said, "Come here," and kind of pulled me in, and you told me two things. You told me that you loved me, and then you told me that Jesus is Lord.
Yeah.
And I knew that you meant it.
Yeah. Well, I did have a feeling of peace throughout all of it. The pain was not peaceful, but I just never felt like this is going to end horribly.
Yeah.
But I did, they say anytime you get anesthesia, anytime you go into a medical procedure, there's no guarantees how that's going to turn out.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I needed to say that to you. So we went into the other room, and long story short, the doctor put in 4 stents, 3 in one artery and 1 long one in the other. The report came back later that the Widowmaker artery was 98% clogged, which was the problem, the major problem. I mean, obviously there's more than one problem, but I think that was what made me black out, and I'm just glad that I was where I was when all of that happened.
That's right.
I got really great care at Williamson Medical, and thankful I'm thankful for the doctor and all the nurses and all the people who took good care of me, us.
Mm-hmm.
They were professional, they were kind, and yeah.
But really, in keeping with what you said, Jesus is Lord.
Oh, yeah.
And if he had wanted to take you home, if that was your day,
Right.
he didn't have to wake you up.
That's right.
He could have just said, "I'll see you in a few minutes, Dave. Can't wait to see you face to face." And I would never have known. I am such a hard sleeper. I would have known in the morning, but he didn't. He woke us up. He got us in time. He got us the right people at the right time,
Yeah.
and he took good care of you. And he is Lord. And it's been the neatest thing with this is that we know that we know that we know he's got more plans.
Yeah.
He's got more plans for you.
Well, hey,
And
the
so-
podcast goes on.
That's right.
That's one thing. I mean, I don't know exactly what the plans are, but I'm so thankful to be here to find out.
And to be here for
And-
your family and to
Yeah.
love your children and grandchildren and your wifey.
Yeah, my dad called and said, "You know, you're not allowed to die before me." So
Yeah, that's breaking the rules.
like, well, I mean, it wasn't the goal, but yeah, I'm aware. So, yeah, a couple of our really good friends came up to visit in the hospital, and I think we were talking about the percentages if we hadn't gotten into the hospital,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, there's 4 of us," and they said we would be having a very different conversation. And I said, "Well, you would." Me and Jesus will be having a conversation, I guess. But anyway, I'm glad that we can joke about it, but I'm super thankful.
Yep. Me too.
Super thankful.
Me too.
So, and thankful for the peacefulness.
Yeah.
We got some bills coming that we haven't seen yet that we're going to have to figure out what to do with, but God's in charge of that too.
Yeah.
And
We'll just keep saying Jesus is Lord.
that's right.
That's
because
right.
he is.
Because he is.
That's because he is. I don't
Yes.
think he left me here to saddle me with debt that would ruin me. I
Yeah.
don't. So, but we're really thankful to be able to still be here to do the podcast and to just live each day and hopefully to glorify him. I'm sure not lived a perfect life, but I am forgiven and I'm thankful for that. And I'm going to try not to waste this second opportunity. So thank you for being a part of our podcast. Thank you for watching it. Next week, we will go back to a somewhat normal topic. We finished.
Lord willing.
Yeah.
Lord willing.
Right.
We say that about
I'm
everything
trying to
now.
calm Hillary down from having an 8-part series on the heart attack. I think we've done that well enough. But
Yeah.
we did just finish 2 really big landscaping jobs, and so we may show you some of the results of that. That was pretty memorable and pretty fun, and the fact that both of those had to happen during and after the heart attack, so that was crazy.
Yep.
And then we've been talking about doing a series on church, and I think following this is episode 66, so probably episode 68 we're going to start talking about that. That's
Yep.
the plan anyway, and something that we think is interesting. A lot of people have a lot of opinions, and we'll dive into that.
Sounds good to me.
But for today, I think we'll sign off. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time on the David and Hillary Show.
See ya.